that the legislative branch's oversight report found that the effect of strategic sourcing in Pennsylvania should be examined because it had a detrimental effect on small and minority businesses, and that the only companies who really won were large companies and local businesses. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going on here because I don't know, because you can't tell me whether or not the Keystone Purchasing is in fact a part of the Pennsylvania Strategic Sourcing Initiative. That will be good to know. If in fact this schedule is a schedule that is either through another state, I guess I would wonder why we weren't using a schedule that was through Maryland. If in fact this schedule is somehow affiliated with Strategic Sourcing Initiative, I guess I would wonder why we weren't trying to sort of push up, promote local businesses, or at least Maryland-based businesses. So I didn't bring that up, but since you mention it, sure. Those would be the questions that I would expect. Now, my only question about the procurement process was whether or not the procurement process as it is currently used is one that allows for the distinct comparison of two different building materials, which is essentially what we have here. That's part and parcel of the controversy that relates to the amount of the supplemental appropriation. If and whether or not there is sufficient rhythm, if you will, in your procurement process to allow a pivot if it is determined that something else other than the material you've used before would be more appropriate. That's the only question I've raised about the procurement process. But since you bring the other things up, I guess it would be good for you all to kind of look into that.
Sure.
Well, let me interrupt by just saying that I want to make sure that we don't get off topic here. That is actually something that is a part of our Office of Legislative Oversight report. When we're talking about procurement practices, that's one of the things that I know will be highlighted in there and will be a topic of conversation with our Government Operations and Fiscal Policy Committee that will be discussing the procurement process. So it really is a much broader topic than what we're talking about today. Because today we're just talking about this one specific entity, and we're not looking at changing that procurement process today. So with that, what I'd like to do is, certainly you've heard from Councilmember Branson, so I'd like for you to follow up with her and give her whatever information, and feel free to reach out so that you guys can talk about that particular issue. But I do want to bring us back to where we are right now, which is what's before us, which is the appropriation. And so, Councilmember Andrews, you had initially said that you supported it. I assume that would be a motion. And is there a second? I'll second it. So all in favor of the appropriation without objection? All right. So we're all set. And that does include the specific language that we did have included in the packet. So wanted to make sure that we had that squared away. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. And